Did you know that some of the most powerful superheroes are often the ones that are lesser known? Their abilities may not be quite as famous, but they're just as impressive. Welcome back, Nerd Squad, it's me, Amanda. Today we'll be exploring some of these unsung heroes and their abilities as we count down the top 10 most powerful superheroes you wouldn't expect. Who do you think deserves more time in the spotlight? Who do you not expect to be as powerful as they are? Number 10. Radiant Red. One of the heavy hitters from the Radiant Black universe is Radiant Red. I love her. She's one of my favorite characters from the Massiverse, which comes to us from Image Comics. Although some may view her as an anti-hero or villain, Satomi isn't a bad person. She simply made mistakes. To me, she's more of an anti-hero, but the term still of course includes the word hero. Initially introduced to us as a bank robber and antagonist in Radiant Black, Satomi's motivations for her actions are explored in a Radiant Red focused issue of the Radiant Black series, and her own self-titled miniseries, Radiant Red. And surprisingly, none of her motivations are revealed to be truly evil or selfish. In fact, you could say they are actually just the opposite. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to show us you love us by clicking that subscribe button. Number 9. Element Girl. Element Girl appears in the Sandman series, but before that she made her debut appearance way back in the 1960s, appearing in Metamorpho issue number 10 over at DC Comics. Urania Blackwell was an agent for the CIA before she ended up becoming a hero. She was sent on a mission to gain powers similar to those of Metamorpho. She would die early on in her career as a vigilante, but shortly thereafter be resurrected. Despite this, Element Girl would also go on to lament just how powerful and indestructible she was later in her life. After her superhero days, she retired and became a recluse. Hating her life, the way she looked, the fact that she was all alone, and the fact that she would never pretty much die, or at least that's how she felt, she happened into a chance meeting with one of the Endless, Death. With Death's help, she was able to end her life by speaking with the Egyptian sun god Ra, whose power had transformed her in the first place into one of his Metamorphae, ancient and powerful beings who were initially his soldiers to be used in the war against Apep the Serpent. Number 8. Metamorpho. Going along with the Element Girl and another of the strangest but also most powerful heroes from DC Comics is Metamorpho. Metamorpho made his first appearance back in 1965 in The Brave and the Bold issue number 57 and has also been known as the Element Man in the comics. He has a unique and interesting power set that allows him to transform his body or parts of his body into any element that you can imagine. This also gives him a pretty unique look as well. Metamorpho isn't the only hero to exhibit these powers though. As we previously discussed, there's also Element Girl, and there have been other characters as well who have been turned into Metamorphae, some of them fighting for the forces of good and some of them actually fighting kind of for the forces of evil. Number 7. Daimon Hellstrom. We don't talk about Daimon Hellstrom enough on this channel, so I am happy, very happy, to have him featured here on my list of powerful heroes you wouldn't expect. Did you expect him? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, let me know. I asked that question like you were going to answer, but you can't because that's not how this works. Daimon is a mystical hero from Marvel Comics, but he is also somewhat niche in his mysticism, being specifically tied to the demonic side of that area, since he is the son of Satan. Daimon's father may not actually be the devil himself though. Regardless, his dad is certainly, at the very least, an extremely powerful demon who does at least claim to be the one true devil. If that even really exists in Marvel Comics, a lot of demons be claiming that title, to be honest. But to be clear, that doesn't mean Daimon is a bad guy. Daimon has often tried to live his life as more of a hero and initially was like an occult detective in the comics, answering calls and trying to fight against his own dark side, balancing it with good deeds and acts of heroism as he combated against other demons and the evil side of the supernatural. Number 6. Big Barda. Big Barda is a hero from DC Comics that we really don't talk very much about on this channel, and for that reason I felt like many wouldn't expect her here, just because she is so often forgotten amidst other physically powerful female warrior heroes. Barda is a fantastic and immensely powerful character. She was once a member of Darkseid's elite force of warriors known as his Female Furies, but ended up leaving Apocalypse to be with the escaped prisoner from Apocalypse who also became a hero, Mr. Miracle. And thank goodness, because goodness knows how much the heroes of Earth could use her and Mr. Miracle's skills, especially with her being a fierce warrior and an excellent strategist. Big Barda would also go on to become a member of the Justice League, deservedly, and recently joined up with the Birds of Prey team as well. Number 5. Doop. By far one of the strangest yet kind kinda in a weird way most OP characters of all time from Marvel has to be Doop. Definitely one of the most strange, at the very least. And now we have his evil counterpart Pood from the excellent series. Oh boy. Doop is pretty powerful because he has some fourth wall shattering levels of awareness, and he is able to actually move between panels in comics, existing not just within the page's panels, but also moving into the borders and margins of that page. He also demonstrated some powerful magical abilities as well as super strength, speed, durability, and even the power to resurrect without the help of the Five, no less. Because Doop is Doop and he's kind of a joke character, he also ends up often being one of those characters that gets whatever powers are needed for the story that he's appearing in, which I think makes him crazy powerful. I love joke characters like that because they can kind of do anything. Number 4. Dorothy Spinner. Dorothy Spinner is a member of the Doom Patrol. She's probably one of the most powerful, although volatile, I would say, members of the bunch. In the TV series, she is shown to be the daughter of Niles Calder, aka the Chief, the leader of the team. However, in the comics, Dorothy is not connected to Niles in the same way, but instead was just brought to the Doom Patrol by her parents when they didn't know really where else to turn. Dorothy was born with a deformity, a face that made her look somewhat monkey-like in appearance. As such, she was mistreated by the other kids at school and ended up ultimately creating her own imaginary friends to kind of cope with this. The problem came when her imaginary friends seemed to no longer really be imaginary and instead kind of came to life, becoming their own beings connected to but ultimately independent of her in regards to possessing their own will. Dorothy's powers allow her to warp reality, you see, but the problem is that she struggles to control this power and has actually made bad things happen by accident at times. It's kind of sometimes a subconscious thing, which can be a problem. Number 3. Crazy Jane. Crazy Jane is one of my favorite Doom Patrol members. She's probably the most insanely powerful member on that team, other than obviously Dorothy, but I feel like Jane has at least a little bit more control than Dorothy. Jane possesses multiple different personas within herself that at times surface and take control of her physical form, and each persona has its own motivations and power set as well as its own name. Jane as such has almost limitless power between all these various personas. Jane first appeared in Doom Patrol issue number 19 from the 1987 series, created by comic book writing legend Grant Morrison and the amazing artist Richard Case. Number 2. Adam Eve. Probably one of the most powerful women I can think of in comics, actually hails from one of the more indie side of things. She is Adam Eve, also known as Samantha Wilkins. Samantha Eve Wilkins. Although most people just call her Eve. Well, most people think of Adam Eve as just being the major love interest for Invincible and just another member of the new Guardians of the Globe team. She's actually one of the most powerful characters in terms of her abilities because she can literally manipulate matter. Every time you see Adam Eve in her costume, she actually made that costume herself by rearranging the atoms of her clothes. Yeah, pretty crazy. Adam Eve is not only able to manipulate matter around her in this way, but she is also immortal as a result of her power set. And her power set doesn't just work in terms of like her, moving her fingers around and making kind of magic happen with her powers. It also grants her an advanced understanding of biochemistry as well, which is how she's able to utilize them so well because she actually understands like the elements and everything that she's manipulating, which is pretty cool. Number 1. Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo is Jericho Drumm, who himself in the Marvel Universe was known as Sorcerer Supreme at one point. A lot of people forget about him because he's often overshadowed by the more well-known Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Stephen Strange, but he himself is also pretty OP. He took over the Sorcerer Supreme title when Doctor Strange was no longer deemed worthy and served as his replacement for a time. Eventually, he and Strange were forced to face the now evil Agamotto together. He was like disappointed all around there, which is why they obviously had to fight him, and also because, he was kind of evil at that time. Dr. Voodoo has also shared the leadership role of Strange Academy with his friend and magical colleague Stephen Strange. Yay. Strange Academy is so good. Still need to read. That's about it. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.